Hello, I'm Adrian Rochella. Welcome to another Arts Quarter, this time coming to you from the bright lights of the big city, the Vivid Festival here in Sydney. In just a short time, this event has become one of the most popular festivals on the calendar, and at the heart of it is another spectacular display on the sails of the Opera House. Anne-Marie Nicholson takes a look.
Lights and action. The Sydney Opera House is again a canvas for lighting artists. For the fourth Vivid Festival, German design team Urban Screen have used digital mastery to simulate giant people moving over the sails. Former hip-hop creator will.i.am was let loose on the Museum of Contemporary Art on an interactive light show. And Spinifex has added animation to the historic Customs House in a luminous makeover. Vivid has proved a magnet for lighting buffs everywhere.
We put an expression of interest out to invite artists, light artists and designers from across Australia and around the world to submit their ideas.
More than 50 light installations are dotted around Circular Quay and Walsh Bay. Grant Whitehouse helped design one of them, Art Eye, a game that anyone who ever wanted to be an artist can play and then upload to the web.
They can create a digital canvas. They've got a couple of minutes to play in front of the canvas and create a work.
A contemporary live music festival at the Opera House backs up the lights.
It's about where art meets reality, where art meets technology, meets commerce. And really it's a new paradigm for festivals.
Vivid is also a forum for ideas, events for bright sparks to shine among the bright lights.
Melbourne too is brightening up its winter skies with its own exhibition of lighting installations. Kirsten Vaness reports on the fragile centrepiece at Federation Square.
This dazzling fixture hangs seemingly with ease, but getting it in place was a painstaking process. The chandelier is made from 150 individual pieces of hand-blown glass, and it weighs more than 350 kilograms.
Everybody's been a bit nervous, a little precious baby when I've spent so much time invested in making it.
Artists worked through the night to fix each piece to a steel frame. It took 4 hours, but finally the installation was raised to the ceiling. The artwork was inspired by the flower from the kangaroo paw plant, and it's already caught the eye of many.
It's a beautiful piece to have in a public place.
It's like a flash of light, a bit of brightness.
The fixture is one of many sculptures making up the Light in Winter exhibition. 14 glass artists from around Australia are showcasing their talents.
A bit of light when you can look up and have a point to sort of bring you a little bit of joy or, burst of colour through. That'll make me happy if people can achieve that.
Some much needed warmth on the eve of winter.
Black and white pictures from the Hellenic Photographic Society in Athens are being displayed in Australia for the first time. The tour begins in Brisbane with plans to take it further afield. It offers an insight into Greek life.
The Hellenic Photographic Society is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year, and Brisbane is one of the other 5 international centres that host an event of this calibre. And it's very important both for Greece, Greek Australians and the lovers of photography as well. This work is the labour of people who are not professional photographers, and that's why it's so important. It's a cultural heritage, and I think it's important as a representative of the Hellenic Photographic Society to promote that work. It's different what Greece or each country means to each individual, so I would just invite them to come and see and be open to interpretations.
The first national exhibition by female Australian Muslim artists has opened in Sydney. Graphic images of war and startling religious videos are among the works which explore personal and collaborative stories. Anne-Marie Nicholson has this report.
Assia Sian Davidson draws the words Hail Allah thousands of times on the walls of her Melbourne house.
I think I was most surprised by how hard-hitting some of the issues that they chose to deal with are.
This new wave of contemporary art grew from the experiences of Muslim women from diverse backgrounds. Many of the 18 featured artists immigrated to Australia from Middle Eastern and African countries. 21-year-old Marwa Sharman's parents escaped here from the war in Lebanon. Their daughter reflects their memories in disturbing paintings of victims of a country violently torn apart.
My teachers took a while to sort of adjust to all the disturbing themes that I like to do, because I've done, poverty, animal cruelty, but war's always been my main focus.
Edel Abdullahi paints with henna to revive stories of her homeland Somalia. She painted a poem that fades slowly on her daughter's hand, expressing some of her own feelings since coming here as a refugee nearly 20 years ago.
This work talks about that, I think, struggle and challenges of being here as a Somali woman of refugee background, and that whole idea of, I think, losing oneself.
The No Added Sugar exhibition runs from May to July.
It's been a long and rocky road, but this year the West Australian Ballet celebrates its 60th anniversary. From its humble beginnings, the company has evolved into a slick and professional organisation. Claire Nichols reports.
Formed in 1952, the West Australian Ballet was founded by Kira Busloff, a former prima ballerina with the Ballet Russe. She would lead the company through decades of hardship, relying on donations and even temporarily shutting up shop in order to stay afloat.
In the early days when Perth was, a very small town, I would venture to say, and they used to rehearse at different venues. They didn't have a home.
Barry Morland has a long history with the company, first coming west to choreographer work in the 1970s.
So I came and I had a look. I thought, wow, I have a theatre, I have an orchestra and a young company, so I'll give it a bash.
It was the start of a tumultuous 15 years with the company, which saw him fired and rehired as he and his young dancers navigated a rocky financial road. While the money wasn't there, the quality of dance was, and Barry Morland was slowly able to build the company.
Bit by bit, I increased the company from 12 to 14 and then 17 dancers.
They embarked on their first major international tour in 1990, stamping the reputation of WA dancers on the world map.
I think we are very good at producing extremely good dancers, world-class dancers, and some of that I think comes from the fact that West Australia has a ballet company here 24/7 all the time.
And that local company is now going from strength to strength. 60 years after its beginnings in borrowed spaces, the company finally has a studio to call its own. The new premises reflect a new financial security, bolstered by strong government support and a healthy sponsorship program.
We've grown our donations and sponsorship phenomenally. The public have got behind the company, and you can see the result of it now in the way that it's travelling, the way that the dancers are performing on stage.
And that security is finally letting the company focus on what it does best, producing quality ballet.
It's been an incredible year so far for Australian performer Gautier. He's taken out top honours at the APRA Music Awards for Songwriter and Song of the Year for his international smash hit, Somebody That I Used to Know.
So thank you to everybody who played this song. Seemingly it also connected with people, which is nice. And sorry to those people who listen to commercial radio in Australia who had to endure it probably 50 times a day.
After more than a 40-year absence, the celebrated actor Jack Thompson has returned to the stage. The Sydney Theatre Company's wooed him back for the role of the first voice in the Dylan Thomas play Under Milkwood. And Maria Nicholson caught up with the actor in between rehearsals.
Jack Thompson, you're playing in Under Milkwood, the narrator, one of the great pieces of theatre. How are you finding this work?
I'm finding it very exciting and very funny and very thrilling. We've had dress rehearsal, a couple of preview audiences, and they're laughing and they're clapping. It's fabulous.
It's quite astounding. It's more than 40 years since you've been back on the stage. What is the sensation like? And I'm wondering why it's been so long.
It's been so long because I've been very much involved, as I'm sure you're aware and others, in the renaissance of an Australian film industry. When I started work as an actor, there was no film industry. And just as I started work as an actor, there began to be a renaissance of the Australian film industry, and I became and remain enthusiastically involved in that. The last thing I did was I played Claudius to John Gregg's Hamlet in a production for Sydney University.
Time passes, listen. Come closer now.
And Dylan Thomas, this really has been the work that he's remembered for. But you had a connection with him through your family as a child.
I did. John Thompson, my father, worked at the BBC in London on an exchange program from ABC Radio. And John was a poet himself, and so he met this wonderful young poet, Dylan Thomas, and Dylan was reading a lot of his work and others on radio. John created a radio program in ABC Radio in Sydney called The Poet's Tongue, where Australian poets had their poetry read by actors on radio.
Mr. and Mrs. Cherry Owen in their Donkey Street room that is bedroom, parlour, kitchen and scullery sit down to last night's supper of onions boiled in their overcoats and broth of spuds and bacon rind and leeks and bone.
So putting your toe back on the stage, does this mean we're going to see a lot more of you in theatre?
I suppose that depends on my reviews.
So, Jack Thompson, what is it that makes you get up every day and come to the theatre, go to the film set? You've been doing it for most of your life. What is it that keeps you going?
One of my father's lines was, life's crowning glory is the here and now, and we're here.
Jack Thompson, thank you very much for talking to the ABC.
Thank you.
And that's our look at arts and entertainment across Australia. See you next time for more on the Arts Quarter.